Open the podcast bay door as hell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 135 of Welcome to Geektown. I'm your host, Kurt Onstead. There's over an hour of conversation on this final She-Hulk episode with Andy from Kiss Your Franchise Goodbye and frequent guest Kristin Scalisi. So let's dive right in. We start off our conversation with the title of the finale, which asks a very important question. Whose show is this? Calling back to a few episodes previous where Jen reminds us to remember whose show it actually is when all of the guest stars appeared. And so with all of the many guest stars appearing this particular episode, she has to remind us once again, or maybe she's even asking the question, whose show is this anyway?
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into all of the individual pieces here, but this was just such the perfect denouement for this entire season.
Yes.
It wrapped up a lot of the themes. It played with the formula. It elevated the formula. And it just had a lot of fun while also wrapping everything up together. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
I also think even if I had hated it, I think I still would have appreciated it for being unique and different.
Yeah, they definitely went out on a limb here and did something completely different from the rest of the Marvel TV shows.
I have like a really specific hot take on this related to Jessica Gao, the showrunner and also the main writer for this. Sorry for this bird walk, but I think I've mentioned this before that like she came to this from Rick and Morty.
Right.
And was best known for being the primary writer on the Pickle Rick episode. And why Pickle Rick worked was because it simultaneously was ridiculous. It skewered all of the tropes of the show and also elevated them in a way that it was like, we know this is ridiculous. And so we're turning it up to 11 because that's the joke. That's why it's funny. And it had this like great self-awareness that was written into it with the whole framing exercise of the family's going to therapy and the therapist at the end just kind of skewers Rick about what's going on with him. And I feel that this show does exactly the same thing, not only to She-Hulk, but the entirety of the MCU. And it's just so perfect. I never expected like anyone to be able to do that again. And here it is. I'm so in love with this episode.
Yeah.
I think it's so perfect.
Yeah. And it starts off by not skewering the MCU, but the pre-MCU. One of the very first live-action Marvel properties of all time, The Incredible Hulk.
And I think my first geek TV show that I loved. I had the doll. I loved that freaking show.
Yeah.
This made me so happy. They even had the device, like the gamma radiation device. Did they rebuild that? And then he did the pose with the arrow on the head. Like how?
Yeah. No, I rewatched
So
the original Incredible Hulk intro just to see how accurate it was. And it is nearly shot for shot. They did such a good job recreating that, putting Tatiana in Bill Bixby's place.
Yeah.
My friend Anthony even wrote me and was like, is that Bill Bixby next to her in the beginning there? And I'm like, no, that's just Mark Ruffalo in a really good wig.
And doing the pose.
Yeah, doing the pose, and, they do all the lines, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And I loved that.
So good.
The half face.
Yes. And did you notice in this intro, they didn't use any CGI, or at least not,
Right.
They didn't CGI She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
They instead used the woman who has been her body double for all of the CGI reference in the show, Malia Nahinu, which I thought was a great way to get her on screen and include her in the show at some point beyond just
And
being
be like
a body reference.
A Lou Ferrigno.
Exactly.
Also,
right.
Yeah.
Like little tribute.
It was such a great way to open.
Yeah, and it's such a great way to like not only call back to those like 80s aesthetics. And by the way, remembering that the trial of the Hulk included Matt Murdock in those 2 episodes. So call back to including Daredevil in that. But for every person who is complaining about, oh, the CGI or whatever, and it's like, you could have just had someone else wearing green makeup being the Hulk. And is this really any better? Like, why are y'all complaining about this? Like, you just have to remember, like, this is a TV show. It's all right. There is artifice. You suspend your disbelief and you go with it and just have fun.
We had Lou Ferrigno and we liked it.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
We had a giant painted man in a bad wig. And it was fine.
And, they even got the font down at the very end. And they, instead of the Incredible Hulk, it's the Savage She-Hulk, which was the name of, that was actually the title of her first comic.
See, I thought it was going to be something like that, and I didn't bother to look it up because I knew you would tell me. So thank you for enabling my laziness.
You're welcome. So that ends with Jen waking up in what looks to me like just reusing the old Abomination cell.
That's probably not, they probably do not have like 100 of those just around.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense that, you have a Hulk-ish cell that the Abomination could go in there, She-Hulk could go in there, Hulk could go in there if they needed to, but yeah, they only have the one. And as I kind of called out last episode, we get Pug, Nikki, and Mallory as the support team there to help her out through this difficult time.
Yeah.
I really don't think we see them enough.
Yeah, I really hope we get a season 2. I mean, they specifically on the menus and such, they call it a season finale rather than a series finale or just finale. So we're all hoping here. So if we do get a season 2, I really hope they get time to dive into the supporting cast more, because the bits we did get of them were all excellent. But yeah, it was definitely not enough.
But it was nice to bring them back, and of course, Nikki's the best, and
Nikki's the best.
And so good to, have her throughout the episode and ease Jen through all of this transition.
Yeah. But Jen doesn't really want to focus on the transition at the moment. She wants to focus on going after intelligentsia.
Right.
She is a lawyer and she is going to do lawyer things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Except, is she a lawyer anymore?
I mean, she doesn't work at that firm anymore. She probably didn't get disbarred.
Probably not.
But total jerks of that firm. I know they hired her as She-Hulk, but ugh.
Yeah, and they hired her as She-Hulk. And the moment she actually hulks out at all, they abandon her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then the plea deal that is available requires Jen to wear an inhibitor. So, yeah, she can't be She-Hulk at the office anymore. And so it's hard to say which one caused her to lose her job. Was it the fact that she hulked out, or was it the fact that she couldn't be the superhero face of the firm?
I think it's the latter. They do not care about anything except earning money.
True.
Yeah.
Her hulking out would just bring like more attention and
yeah, it's not like they had any problem with representing infamous clients.
Right.
So you're probably right that it was all down to the fact that she couldn't be She-Hulk anymore.
Which, once again, Jen getting judged on her appearance by a bunch of men.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, Jen is going through the roughest point in her life right now. You know, we get this montage, basically, of seeing her...
It was so depressing.
It was hard to watch. It was just like...
Yeah.
She loses her job, she's got reporters hounding her, she has to move back in with her parents... The reporters are even following her back at her parents' house. It was a tough few minutes to...
But her father did have the most supportive line. People go to prison every day. I was like, oh, what a nice dad.
Yeah, I love her dad so much. He's so
wonderful.
supportive. Mom tries to be, but... it feels like it always ends up being kind of a backhanded...
It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
You know, yes, move back into your room, but I have my exercise bike in there, and I do work out every morning. We'll just be workout buddies.
Yeah,
It's like,
okay,
okay,
could you
thanks, Mom.
maybe move that downstairs for a few weeks while I kind of put my life back together? No.
Right.
Mom's just like...
Mother-daughter relationships. It rang very true to me.
Oh,
I love my mother.
Yeah. My sister and mom have similar... You know, they definitely love each other, but at the same time, they can easily get on the other's nerves.
That's family.
Yeah. And I love that Jen's old room has both Legally Blonde and Aaron Brockovich posters up.
That's so fun.
It was cute little set decoration touches there. There was the UCLA pennant and those posters and all that sort of stuff. And it was just like, yeah, I can definitely see Jen living in this room when she was younger.
Well, it totally gave us just that extra feeling of, yes, she always wanted to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's destined to it. So possibly losing it, would be
all the harder.
Just terrible for her.
Did either of you have movie posters up in your room when you were younger?
I don't want to even tell you the poster I had in my room, but I will.
You gotta.
And you can judge. Okay, I'm gonna.
Don't judge, yeah.
I'm 45 years old. I had a Kirk Cameron poster before he was problematic.
Oh, that's
nice. I really liked Growing Pains.
Okay. I have an equally embarrassing...
Okay. Safe space.
Safe space here. I wanted to be an actor at that point, so I had posters up of the people I wanted to be rather than the ones that I had like a crush on or something like that. So I had a Scott Baio poster.
Wow.
I'm not gonna judge you
before he was problematic.
Wow. Now I'm
judging.
missing out. I should have had a problematic poster up because this is who I was when I was in high school. I had a poster of All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. That was the movie poster that I had up on my wall. It's like, this kid is way too into politics and film. Like, cut it out, Andy. You're a little much.
Well, in high school, I did transition over to like Star Trek.
Yeah, in high school, I had like comic book posters up, like Kingdom Come and Marvels and those sorts of like those Alex Ross posters. Scott Baio was elementary school. So
Charles in charge.
Well, this was back in the
Nice.
Chachi days.
Oh, wow. Even before Charles in charge.
Yeah.
Wow. But no, that's a lot of fun. But again, like for Jen, Legally Blonde and Erin Brockovich, I'm like, okay, those are fun and also like they're lawyerly, but one is fun and about like empowerment, and the other one is also about empowerment, but also about like having a social conscience and like fighting against the man and all that.
They're
and
flip sides of the same coin.
Yeah, they're great, and really grounds her as like, oh yeah, I was, I went to high school, I came of age in the late 90s. I went to college and law school in the early 2000s. Like I am a millennial. This is me. I'm like, yep, really great coding and set dressing.
Yeah. And in the meantime, in between dealing with her mom's workout stuff in her room, she is spending her time in the living room, it looks like, working on finding the intelligentsia and all the people involved in doxing her.
And she had a very cool conspiracy theory board.
Yes. Yeah.
I want one.
Like that. Yep.
Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be getting her much progress, because even with Nikki's help, they're not finding anything useful at this point.
Until Mom steps in with with an embarrassing video.
Now, I wonder if this is just me. When I saw that video, I was specifically reminded of AOC.
That's where my mind went too immediately.
Okay.
And Kristin shaking her head yes too.
Yeah, God forbid a young woman have some innocent fun. We're going to blow it up. And didn't they just do that to like the Prime Minister of Finland or some Scandinavian country?
Oh, that too, yeah.
Like she went dancing. She drank alcohol as an adult.
Although at the very least, that was while she was in office. There's a big difference between...
You're not allowed to dance?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean...
Come on.
Yeah. If she was like slovenly drunk or something, that's different. If it looked like she was having a problem, then yes, that's a problem. But yeah, you're right. She's dancing, she's drinking. Oh no, she's engaging in legal relaxation activities. This is not an issue. So, like AOC, it's a fun little video with friends that's got her dancing around and having some fun. And so, of course, the intelligentsia are all over it like, yes, that's great. Anything that we can use to make her appear immature when it's like, okay, well, this was 20 years ago, but whatever.
Yeah.
I just like how, she is so smart and she's so capable, but she is going at it from the lawyer perspective. And it just did take Nikki, who is the best, and also now a genius. She just had to, she knew this is something that had to be solved in a kind of a underhanded or
by any and all means
underground way. Yeah.
Nikki says that when they're talking in the living room. She says, take him down by any and all means. And Jen's like, no, through the legal system. Nikki's by any and all means.
But I mean, it does show where, skipping to the very end, where Jen's saying like she wants to, fight for people both in and outside of the legal system. It does show you that the legal system never would have gotten like its fingers into these people without doing that shoe leather work, the like online infiltration and like getting that out there. It reminds me of, like Harvey Weinstein never would have gone to jail if like Ronan Farrow hadn't been like on that and like out there reporting it. And sometimes you have to do both things. Yes, you can go through the legal system, but sometimes things need to get played out through other means in order to allow the legal system to like catch things into that, because there aren't enough cops, there aren't enough DAs to like go around, and especially when people in the DA's office are on TV lying about you and previous relationships, like they're not gonna go after these folks. So sometimes you got to do it.
Beautiful segue, by the way, to the very next scene. So pretty much we get every major character back for at least a moment. And so Dennis comes back here claiming that he dated Jen for a significant amount of time before she was She-Hulk. And
A-hole.
yeah.
Can I say douche canoe on this podcast? Is that
I am
allowed?
totally fine with douche canoe.
It's a douche canoe.
Perfect.
Because I think that's what I yelled at the television.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the worst. There are no redeeming features about him whatsoever.
Well, sadly, in this show, he's the second worst.
Fair enough.
True.
I'm almost surprised he wasn't at the meeting.
Same. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jen gets to watch Dennis and the other news shows all talk about her and being unstable.
She didn't even hurt anybody. She did a little light property destruction. She did not kill anyone. She didn't even hurt anyone. Everybody was fine.
This is very true. No human being came to harm from anything she did, not even the guy that she chased down and grabbed. Although, had no one else been there, we don't know what would have happened to that guy. But he was one of the intelligentsia, so he had it coming. And we get another fourth wall break here, where Jen is basically looking at us going, is this what you guys want? What is going on here? This isn't even a reluctant superhero story. I'm just getting screwed over.
Exactly. It was just her getting beaten down.
Yeah. And like I was just like, no, that's not what I want. Where's
none of us want this. This is... But this has one of my favorite jokes in the episode is when the narrator starts talking again, doing the classic Hulk introduction. And she's like, no, we haven't gone that far yet. We're not doing a narrator. We're not that far off the rails.
That reminded me of The Holiday, Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet.
I haven't seen it.
It's adorable. Cameron Diaz's job is to create trailers, so she thinks in trailers a lot, and a trailer about her life will just start.
Nice.
She'll be like, stop it!
Okay, I will have to go check that out now. So instead of letting her life get narrated, Jen decides to take a mental health break by going and visiting Emil.
Well, he's the only one who would understand.
Yeah.
As she said.
Yeah.
Multiple times. She points it out a few times. Emil is the only one who understands because he's been through exactly the same thing. Maybe not exactly. He did actually do a lot of property damage on Harlem. But a very similar thing. And while Jen is traveling there, we go to Nikki, who is pulling her genius move of uploading the video to Intelligentsia, and immediately gets called out by Hulk King.
These incels are so easy to manipulate, I swear.
They really are.
And she knew it, because she's a genius.
In real life, just as much as in the show.
Right?
These are all really, really basic dudes. It's so funny. It's just like, oh, I can see, like, I know where this conversation is going 5 comments from now, but sure, let's go ahead and engage in your bad faith take.
Yeah. Last episode, we mentioned Gail Simone and her trolling of Twitter, and she will constantly be posting things that make incels go, oh, look at this fake geek. And it's like, You really haven't gotten the joke yet, have you? She is doing this to you on purpose. Nope. But Hulk King refers to Nikki as bro. So Nikki recruits our second favorite male lawyer on the show. Pug, you still here?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was great. Like, yeah, more Pug.
Yeah, anything to get more Pug, and then Pug and Nikki on adventures together. Always hilarious.
I could totally do a Pug and Nikki show. That would be a lot of fun.
Hunting down intellectual property violations, burning Avengers shirts, and
well, if this were an hour-long dramedy rather than, a half-hour workplace comedy, we might get that where, that's like how so much of like Ally McBeal or The Practice or whatever would happen. It's like, yeah, okay, we have like the main character who's in the A storyline, but then all of the side characters are always doing something fun in the B storyline, and then they come in and everybody gets a little more
time
chance to do that. Yeah.
A little more time to breathe.
Or even if it was like back in the day when you had more episodes, like
that too.
They do just a few episodes and, the story is very, tight. But when you had more room and stuff, you could get more backstory. You could do more, little fun things.
Yeah. Well, when it's like, well, that's it. You get 22 episodes and you get an entire season to do it. It's like, whoa, that's a lot. But yeah.
Next Gen was 26, and I still can't believe that. 26 episodes. Wow. Crazy.
Because they had that syndication thing going, because they weren't run by a network. So they're like, oh, well, if we produce 26, then people will buy 26. So we will make 26 episodes.
Even if one of them is Shades of Grey, the clip show.
Still watched it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we all did.
Everybody has a clip show. That's,
clip show.
That was standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the clip show that Star Trek Next Gen did was in its first season.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, they had a writer's strike, didn't they?
I don't remember.
And they didn't have.
It may have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those scripts were, there had been another Star Trek show that they had tried to incubate in the late 70s, and they had a bunch of those scripts. And
the Phase 2 scripts.
Some of those ended up, and some of those ended up being
Next Gen scripts.
Next Gen scripts in season 1.
I think, though, and we're totally getting off on a tangent here, but we all loved Star Trek, so it's fine. But I think, if I remember right from the TNC episode, it wasn't so much a writer's strike as it was a budget limitation, where they had gone over on the budget. And so, like, for the last 2 episodes, they only had X amount of dollars left, and the season finale was Conspiracy, I think. And so it had all the alien bugs effects and everything. And
oh my gosh, Conspiracy.
And so they had to do like the cheapest episode ever. And so they pulled out the clip show.
Yeah.
Just one last side note here before we get back on topic. But my favorite was episode 2 of the Clerks animated show.
Oh my God!
Was
when they
a clip
did
show.
And it was already a clip show.
That was so funny.
And half of it was like from earlier
in the same
in the episode. When they're just climbing up the building. Hey, remember 5 minutes ago when we did this? Yeah, I made a Star Trek reference. That was cool. Yeah. Or no, Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's sad that only had like 6 episodes. Oh well.
It was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was.
It was indeed.
All right. So, like I said, that was the last tangent for this section at least. And now let's get back on topic. Jen arrives at the retreat, and Wrecker is there to greet her and set her up with a room. and a hug
And a hug.
and a book
Of bad
haiku.
haiku.
Not bad haikus, deep haikus.
Deep haiku. Okay.
Are there good haikus?
I have seen good haikus.
Okay.
There are some beautiful haikus out there, but the format is so rigid that it is an easy beginner's assignment to hand out. And so there are a lot of amateur haikus out there. And I would put Blonsky's much more on that edge of things compared to the really good haikus that have been written over the years.
But people are buying it. So
yeah.
whatever.
And I love the cover with Blonsky, doing the half lotus pose or whatever, with one leg up, foot against the other knee, and yeah, so pretentious, but still meaning well.
That's what you got to do to sell. You got to make people think you're living the life.
Gotta hype that merch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're at the retreat, and we cut to Nikki and Pug following the bros to the private event. At what point did you guys know that they were at the same location?
I did not realize at first.
I think not until I saw some of the posters inside, like after Abomination showed up and I saw like, oh, there's one of those Namaste posters. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, wait, that's convenient. They're holding it at this retreat. Well, I guess that makes sense, because what? Is he going to like come down to LA and turn into the Abomination? No. Like, yes, that makes sense. So
okay. So, because
yeah.
I caught on very quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I caught on at this scene when Nikki and Pug were driving up, because the camera pans past, pans along, and you can see just on the left-hand side of the screen at the opening of that shot, the TS of the Summer Twilights sign.
Well, I still haven't seen a QR code, so I'm not that observant.
We'll get there.
I'm just saying I'm obviously not that observant. I was like, a barn.
So that TS there was my first sign, and then the second sign is coming up. Nikki kind of has to push Pug to go and says, hey, I'll be on the phone the entire time with you. It's going to be okay. And as soon as he gets in there, the reception sucks.
Yeah. That should have clued me in at that point too, but I wasn't. Yeah.
But Pug trying to blend in here was some of the best stuff. All of his improvisations and, the stuff that Nikki gave him to say.
Nikki teaching him how to be a dick.
How to be gross. Come on, Pug.
Always refer
be
to
gross.
them as females.
I know. It's hard for him because just like Andy Wilson, Pug is a really nice guy.
Pug is a nice guy.
Oh.
Pug is a really nice guy.
I'm glad to be in mentioned in the same breath with Pug, who is a real hero in this episode.
Yeah,
it's great. Thank you. I'll take that compliment.
Must be nice. I haven't been told once that I'm a really nice guy.
You're a nice guy.
Aww.
I feel like most.
I think I had to pull that one out. It didn't really feel natural there, but
well, it's
I'll
funny
still
to
take
me
it.
Because I have a lot of male friends, and it's just I'm so happy that this world of incels is very foreign to me, because I can't imagine any of the men I know and hang out with ever like saying any of these things, acting this way. But it's way more common than I want it to be, and it's just
yeah.
But
well, you know what helped me is we're going back to this tangent. Star Trek. Because every time they say the word female, all I can think of are Ferengi.
Yeah.
You allow your females to be clothed? I'm like, oh, okay. These guys were like the original incels.
Yeah.
Although I also say human because of them.
Humans. Yep.
Well, and speaking of all of these guys who refer to women as females, the lines from them were just so spot on of real things that we've all unfortunately read online or heard on YouTube with, oh, Lady Thor just sucks. And I would say that even if she was a man, it's not just because she's a female. It's like, well, then she'd be Thor.
Right.
Do you have issues with Thor? Because
I just want to get a t-shirt that says female is a modifier. But they're all too dumb to get that, so they don't know what grammar is.
Yeah. And now we get the big reveal of Todd. And
Todd.
Pug's face when he sees Todd and thinks, oh shit, I'm caught.
But he's not, because a guy like Todd
just assumes
quickest
everyone
assumption is that this
on
guy
his side.
like me.
Yeah.
He's a bro.
And then he's just like, this guy rules, everybody. Like, it's like, and he's hot.
I know.
Which I like that. And I'm like, again, the weird bro energy of like, these guys are like always talking about why women don't like them, but like curiously into like complimenting each other and how hot they are. And
Yeah.
I'm like, which, okay, good, should be
Great.
normalized.
Women, we do that to each other all the time.
That's totally fine. It's the fact that it's these same guys who are extremely homophobic.
Exactly.
And as soon as, one thing goes too far, it'll be like, fag.
Yeah.
And, it's like, it just, yeah. So the fact that they're repressing that energy, and so it comes out in these weird non sequitur ways.
Yeah. That's exactly what it all sounds like. Is just like repressed homophobia.
Yeah.
And
he's hot.
Like, and it's like, oh, dude, you're looking really good. No homo.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you guys, come on.
It's okay.
It's like, have you not noticed that we women can compliment each other all the time and we don't feel the need to say, oh, I'm not a lesbian. It's like, we know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is totally normal and healthy for people to be able to say to one another, you look good today, or you're looking handsome, or whatever, without any sort of romantic or sexual connotation needing to be denied or implied.
Yep. If any other guys are listening, try it. Compliment a bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Todd is Hulk King. And
of course he is.
I just want to get my little called it in there.
Yep. Tip of the hat to you. Yep.
My friend Joel and I were chatting right after he finished watching the episode, and he was like watching it going, oh, Kurt called that. Called that.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's like, yay.
Yep.
And after the reveal of Todd as Hulk King, he starts up the meeting. And before things go too far, we cut back to Jen hanging out with Wrecker, who is being a very good, supportive friend. It's amazing that he was able to go through this transformation from his first appearance where he attacks Jen and tells her not to be such a show off with her powers and all that sort of stuff too.
And I was still a little suspicious of him even when she first got there. When he went to hug her, I'm like, he's gonna stab her or he's gonna something. But I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad he was able to come around.
I mean, I think it shows that overall what Emil was doing was kind of on the level and like was actually helping people.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the like wanting him to take accountability later, but like I think that was good. And
his heart was in the right place.
Yeah. He didn't necessarily go about it in the best way, but he had the right intentions and he was doing what he thought was the right thing.
But I don't want to move past one of my favorite jokes in this episode, because there's a lot later, but the Wrecker like makes some tea for Jen and mentions that Saracen found it, but you have to be careful because sometimes he puts chicken blood in it. And then he like takes a sip and I kind of miss the chicken blood.
Yeah.
Like, that was also good.
Adds that just tang to it.
It's good if you're anemic and you need iron.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that book, like salt, acid, fat, and heat, and blood.
And blood.
Blood. You know, gotta add the blood in there. Yeah.
The Vampire's Cookbook.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, that was a nice little scene, and then Jen sort of puts together what's going on too.
Well,
nice.
Once, because Wrecker tells her that Emil's down in the lodge for a private event. And so she's like, he wouldn't mind me going down there. I'm going to go talk to him. But Emil is there as a special guest speaker, as the Abomination. And now Brooke, who unfortunately couldn't make it, I invited her to join the three of us and make it a foursome for this final episode, but she couldn't make it. But she did want us to specifically talk about whether or not Abomination knew the group's purpose. And my feeling is that he didn't. The way he talks, all of his motivational speech is so vague. And the fact that Jen... that when Jen appears, he's supportive of her. He helps her when the fight breaks out. So everything to me points to him just accepting the speaker deal, not knowing what the group's true purpose was.
Yep, I also vote no. It was just it just seemed like his canned verses. Did anyone check to see if they were in haiku form? I did not. It just, the stuff, he didn't really seem to know what they were doing. He's like, so I've heard that you guys have goals or something. I don't think I want to believe better.
Yeah.
I've spent the last several episodes in tinfoil hat areas. Like, oh, there's something going on here. There fairly obviously wasn't, and so now I'm gonna give him the full benefit of the doubt. So yeah.
Although when Jen does make her appearance and says, you're turning into the Abomination, you're breaking your parole, I trusted you, his response is, I'm sorry that you're upset.
Yeah,
but that's typical for him.
Yeah, it's like Jen says at the end of the episode, he's not taking accountability. I'll freely admit that I used to make those sorts of apologies when I was younger, where it was like, you're not taking any responsibility for what your actions have done. You are just saying, I'm sorry this made you, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's like saying, I'm sorry I was caught. It's it's not an apology. It's it's a shame that we're in this situation. There is no there's no accountability being taken. There's no responsibility being accepted at all.
Also, how was he transforming when I thought he was still wearing the ankle monitor and the inhibitor?
There is, it's in the closing credits.
Oh, is it Wong taking it
No,
off of him?
no, he is putting the inhibitor on Princess Silkfeather.
Oh. Like how Scott put it on the giant ant.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I missed that.
Yeah, it was one of the slides in the closing credits was him putting the inhibitor on, you see him putting it on a chicken, and the chicken is walking up a ramp to a small coop that says Princess Silkfeather across the arch.
And that's why she's his favorite.
There we go.
So,
now we know the
yeah.
real reason. Although
Yep.
I'm sure she's a gorgeous chicken as well.
Of course.
Sure. Yeah.
So at this point, things move quickly.
Yeah.
Nikki shows up. She explains that this is the intelligentsia meeting here. And Todd explains about Josh taking her blood, that he's synthesized her blood to be able to give him powers. He injects himself. The term I used was he bro-hulks out. And then immediately Titania shows up, breaking through the wall. And the whole time that this is going on, Jen's looking at the audience like, what the hell is this?
It's kind of how I was feeling too. I'm like, wait, is this really where we're going? I'm like, okay, I guess this is where we're going. And yeah.
I was kind of afraid at this point. I was like, okay, if we're going this far off the rails, something's got to give, or this is going to go really bad. And things continue to get worse as Abomination, saves Jen from Bro Hulk, and then Bruce shows up and sees Jen being held by the Abomination, immediately assumes the worst and starts to fight him. And, this breaks out into a giant brawl. And meanwhile, Jen is just continuing her complaining and questioning the audience, and everything's just getting chaotic, and boom, to the Marvel Disney menu.
Scared the crap out of me, as I assume it did for everybody. I'm like, what did I do?
Did it crash?
I sat
No.
on the remote.
Wait,
I thought I
hold
sat
on.
on the remote.
So good.
Yeah, so well done. And now this is something that is the television equivalent of something that Jen has done in the comics during John Byrne's run. She will move across panels. She will turn the page of the comic in order to get to a different location.
Oh, that's cool.
It's beyond just breaking the fourth wall, but it's using her awareness to actually affect things. And she would complain to the editor, and bitch about the writing and all that sort of stuff. And so the fact that she breaks out of her menu screen and goes into the Marvel Assembled show in order to go backstage was
Made me so
absolutely
happy.
perfect.
Yeah. And a lot of fun too. And I mean, maybe it's just because I'm such a Disney head, but like, oh, they're like backstage at Disney. There's the animation building. Like, I just
Yep.
like, gave me all those vibes, and I'm like, this is fun. Like,
Yeah.
I really
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
this.
It was awesome that they filmed at Buena Vista Studios. But I've mentioned John Byrne's run a couple of times here, and the QR code
Oh, I missed it.
is on the production office door and gives you a free copy of Sensational She-Hulk number 50, which was John Byrne's last issue of his first run on the series. And is such a great issue because in the issue, John Byrne is dead and they are trying to find a replacement writer / artist for She-Hulk. And so we get these 2-page pastiches, but they're not even homages because they are actually the real artists. They get Dave Gibbons for 2 pages. They get Frank Miller
wow.
for
Oh,
2
wow.
pages. They get Wendy Penny from ElfQuest for 2 pages. They get Walt Simonson for 2
Oh, wow.
pages. And so they have all of these parodies of the work that made them famous.
Like that episode of
but
Futurama
doing She-Hulk.
where they did all the
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
styles of animation.
Yeah, there's also an issue or an episode of Batman the Animated Series where there's a bunch of kids and each of them are imagining what Batman is really like. And you get to see like the 50s era and the Dark Knight Returns era.
I'm gonna see if the library, you've convinced me. I'm gonna see if the library later has like downloadable graphic novels of She-Hulk. Get it on my Kindle.
Well, definitely check out this issue, which, like I said, you can get for free by scanning the code on the door. And it's a nice, easy code to get compared to some of the other ones that they've put up there. It's easily freeze frameable and it's nicely lit. So it was very easy for me to point my phone at it and get that code. Anyways, moving along from that, Jen walks into the writer's room.
Oh, what a great scene.
Like I said, it's just such a great adaptation of what she would do in the comics, where she would complain to the editor about where the story was going and what they were making her do. And yeah, it's the same sort of thing here. She is not happy with this finale and where it's going. So what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
How can we change it? And they say, this is the story that Kevin wants. And there was an unfortunate thing here in that I watched these shows with the subtitles.
Oh no, I saw someone post about that.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
In the subtitles, when Jennifer says Kevin, it's just Kevin. But when the writers said Kevin, it was K.E.V.I.N. And so I was like,
Didn't something also get ruined that way on Mandalorian? Like they named a character who was speaking before you knew who you were supposed to know who the character was.
That's possible. I don't remember that specific instance, but that happens sometimes because, the people who are writing the subtitles are working straight off of the script.
Yeah.
Which is also why you get sometimes differences between what is said in the subtitles and what's said on screen, because somebody improv'd a line or just altered it a little bit and they type out what's in the script rather than what's actually said on camera. So it was unfortunate. I mean, it's not like it was a big super secret thing that was being held off for like episodes and episodes. You know, you find out in 30 seconds basically
Right.
what's going on, but it was still I think a little unfortunate that they made that choice.
I don't know. I kind of saw the opposite of it where, because I also had the captions on,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that and I just like laughed out loud and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Because rather than have like, because what are then your choices? Like, what you have like Kevin Feige sitting behind the desk like he's the architect at the end of the second Matrix movie,
Mm-hmm.
or an actor playing Kevin Feige, or like, what do you do here?
You
Like that doesn't.
you hire John
So
Travolta because I've always thought he and Kevin Feige, when you take away the hair, they have very suspiciously similar faces.
that could be fun.
Hmm.
I like that idea. So, but yeah, so they're like, oh, K.E.V.I.N. That's fun. I'm like, so that's where we're going. That like Marvel is run by algorithm. Like I love it. Great. Yes, I can't
Yep.
wait. I like that joke. So yeah, I agree. It was a little bit of a spoiler. It would have been nice to like not have that in the initial subtitles, but I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just a minute or so before we get that reveal anyway,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like a huge deal. And Jen goes to talk to Kevin. And now I discovered this on Twitter earlier today. That is the actual waiting room, and
Wow.
that is the actual receptionist.
Oh wow.
Nice.
So he got to make an appearance there, and I freeze framed it, and that's an actual NDA.
That's what my question was.
There were no jokes in there. It was all legalese that was basically like, it's possible we'll show you some of our intellectual property, which may include photos or music or cast lists or, you know, just this whole list of examples of these are things that we might show you. You are not allowed to tell anybody any of the things we show you while you are here. So it was basically the real NDA, and I guess everybody really does have to sign that, but when they walk in there.
Except Jen would not have scrolled through. Lawyers are obsessive. They read those things. They're the only people who read those things.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think especially given the like, if you know Marvel and their lawyers. But yes, like, studio note, could Jen take 2 hours to read the NDA before scrolling, and we just cut to like, you know, like SpongeBob SquarePants? It's just like 2 hours
2
later.
hours later.
And then, like, she's like, okay, and she's like scribbled out some things, and then she signs it.
Which would have made the fact that he hits the alarm immediately after even funnier. That would have been hilarious if it had been like, all right, yeah, I'll sign your NDA. Let me read it first. 2 hours later. Okay, now let me go see Kevin. Boom, hit the alarm. Why would you make me sign the NDA if you're just going to do that? Everyone has to sign the NDA.
That was very good. That whole thing was, I mean, this entire third act is just
It's
chef's kiss.
Perfect. Yes. Every single moment has just layers and layers of humor in there, and and sure enough, you know, as those of us who read the subtitles discovered, Jen fights her way to Kevin's room, and it is K.E.V.I.N. Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus.
I love it.
I read some interviews with Kevin Feige that came out after this episode had aired, and apparently in most of the original concept art, the K.E.V.I.N unit was wearing a physical baseball cap on top of its orb. And I really liked the way, because he insisted, he's like, no, that's a step too far. There's no reason why he would be wearing an actual baseball cap. But I loved how they integrated it into his appearance. Even though he's not wearing a baseball cap, he's still got a baseball cap on.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, the little arch over his camera-like eyes or whatever they are. Yeah, the design on that was just perfect to include that little touch there.
Yeah.
And, the room with all the different Marvel movies happening all at once on all the screens, the comic books on little towers, just kind of randomly spread around the room. I want to live there.
Yeah.
To watch anything anytime we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang out with K.E.V.I.N and like give him ideas for
Ask questions.
All right, K.E.V.I.N, here's my new warrior speech.
Right. Here's my pitch for a speedball series.
Exactly. And all of the dialogue here just poking fun at all of the tropes. It starts with, okay, I'll talk to you, but you need to transform back into Jen, but not when the camera's looking at you. I'm sorry, you're just too expensive right now.
And the visual effects team is on another project.
Has moved on to another project.
That's
little too real on that
very
one.
Insider, but weirdly like a thing I feel like a lot of people have been talking about recently. So like the joke works.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
And I mean, I've been calling out throughout the season of how her transformations will like start and then immediately cut away and then cut back when she's done. So yeah, it's a cost-saving procedure, but the fact that they specifically hang a lampshade on it and call it out as something is
well,
perfect.
if you don't mind the budget, you end up with episodes like Shades of Grey. So they're warding that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jen continues to be the great lawyer she is by arguing that we're in a legal comedy, so she gets to give her closing argument. The pun of closing argument for the finale.
I like it.
I enjoyed that, and so did K.E.V.I.N, apparently. And, we get into kind of the crux of it. Hey, look, all these Marvel movies end the same. Let's do something different. My stakes are personal. We can do something that's not the blood storyline with the super soldier serum that's been in many other Marvel movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
And so K.E.V.I.N says, all right, what's your new ending? And she goes through and she's like, all right, erase the blood plot. Get rid of Bruce Ex Machina.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah. I don't need him coming in to save me.
Save the day. Yeah. Literally coming in out of outer space to save the day. And Kevin's like, but we were going to introduce... No, save it for the movie.
And for real, what the hell was Titania doing there? No point, no reason, come on.
Except She-Hulk doesn't mention that one. But most importantly, Abomination has to hold himself accountable.
Yeah, that was good. She's just like, it's one of those like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Like,
she wanted there to be an emotional arc ending.
Yeah, exactly. And then change the nighttime scene today. Let's make it less grim. And by the way, I wouldn't mind seeing Daredevil again. A woman has needs.
Sing it, sister.
Did you notice the content warnings that normally show up at the beginning of the episode?
Oh no, I didn't.
There was some interesting verbiage on this one. It implied sexual something.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I'm like, really?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like that.
Well, historically, they've been a little light in that department.
It's true. And I love, again, the lampshading of that is like, well, yes, that is something the algorithm tells us we should do more of. You're right, Jen.
Yeah. And then she kind of just sits down and is like, all right, let's just talk this over. Why all the daddy issues?
When are we going to see the X-Men?
Yeah.
I can't tell you that, Dave.
Not only will he not tell her that, but apparently he's been working in the background on fixing it so that Jen can't ever visit him again.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. We've fixed that flaw. You're not going to be able to access the K.E.V.I.N. in the future. So, as fun as this scene is, it's not something that we can go back to season after season after season. It works as a joke once.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's a nice way to kind of just say, hey, look, we've done this.
We promise we won't fall back.
We're not doing it
over
again.
and over again.
But the fact that She-Hulk mentions a season 2 in the episode gives me hope.
Yeah. and that she's like, so see you in a movie? And he's like,
no.
Well, actually, it was the other way around, which I thought was a really funny joke, was see you on the big screen. Really? No. Oh, whatever, Kevin. I'm sorry to be just quoting it word for word, but the dialogue here is so
good.
Perfect, where he's like, you come in and you've broken everything, and she's like, well, that's what Hulks do. We smash things. Bruce smashes buildings, I smash fourth walls and bad endings. And sometimes Matt Murdock.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
go, Jen.
Maybe that was the implied sexual whatever.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You can't say smash. That she smashed.
She-Hulk smash.
My delicate ears.
But we find the most budget-friendly way to cut back to the story, which is just a hard cut to Jen being She-Hulk again. And like I said, Titania is still there, but now she's just watching
not smashing through literal walls.
Yeah, she's not participating in any sort of fight. And we get a real emotional conclusion to the story. Jen tells Todd, you're going to be held accountable. Emil's going back to prison for 10 years to take responsibility for breaking his parole. Daredevil shows
Dropped from the sky by Kevin. Does he even know how he got there?
I'm not sure he does.
Did his suit look weird in the daylight, or is it just me? He's just such like a dark creature.
Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that they put him in the yellow and red instead of just the red works better for daytime.
True.
And I wonder if that's part of the reason why they did that, was because they knew that the ending episode would have a daytime scene. And so rather than having a monochrome uniform red all the way down, it's got that mix of colors, which works better in light.
Makes sense.
I mean, we're almost done here, but we get the backyard barbecue.
That was so cute. Did anyone else notice that Daredevil was kind of losing control of his accent there?
No, I didn't.
No. Was he slipping into his British?
I was like, is he supposed to be doing the... Because I forgot for a minute that he's actually British. And it just was hitting me.
Huh. No, I didn't notice. I was just mooning over the way Jen and Matt were looking at each other.
Well,
Jen was looking at Matt.
Is that wrong to say? I don't know. No. Yeah, that was... Oh, do you think she'll be on the future season of Daredevil?
I would love for her to show up. not necessarily as a regular, but for like 2 episodes maybe.
Absolutely.
That would be very fun.
I think that would be great. Get some interesting tension between her and Karen.
I mean, she needs a job.
She does. It could be Nelson, Murdoch, and Walters. Although the parents definitely want them to stay in LA.
Well, parents want a lot of things.
This is true.
Including grandkids, apparently, that they're already like heavily implying, like, hello.
Well, but they get them.
Oh, I guess that's
in
true.
a way.
Well,
at least
well, I guess they get a grandnephew.
These are all aunts and uncles here, so it's not quite grandkids.
Right.
But yeah, Bruce shows up, and as we kind of predicted way back, he brought Scar along.
He has an angsty teen.
Yes.
Which, again, I had no idea this was a thing that existed. So I was very surprised, but I think it's interesting. I've been informed by my husband that this is a thing.
Yes. In the comics, he had a son, or he got someone pregnant, but...
Who was that poor Sicarian? I would not want to be pregnant with a Hulk fetus.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just seems really uncomfortable.
Well, her name was Kyera, and she had the power to tap into the planet itself for strength. Okay. So it wasn't the pregnancy that killed her. It was the fact that the planet basically exploded. Well, it wasn't so much the planet, but a good portion of it, that the spaceship that had sent Hulk out into space, it malfunctioned and exploded, and she was caught in the blast.
Well, that's depressing.
But her son emerged from the lava from the aftermath, but it all happened after Hulk had already left. Her dying happened while he was still there, but he didn't know about the son surviving until later. So that matches up with the comics somewhat. Although it'll be interesting to see where their relationship goes, because originally in the comics, he hated Hulk. Scar came to Earth basically to get revenge. And so the fact that they're already like, hey, look, here's my son. He's getting along with him well enough to bring him to a family meeting. So that's a definite improvement from how their relationship started in the comics.
Yeah.
And I really wonder where they're going to explore that story next.
Movie?
Secret Invasion? No, I don't know.
That's probably the best bet. Of the properties that we know are getting movies and TV, that seems like the most reasonable option.
There's lots of space stuff there, so
yeah.
Seems like, I mean, it's obviously not the focal point, but Maria Hill or Nick Fury talks to Bruce Banner, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've got a son from space now." Oh, okay. Figure out what happens next with that.
Well, there's a whole lot to explore coming off of this show. We've got Jen and Matt's potential relationship. We've got Bruce and his son. We've got Jen needs to find a new job. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I'm really hoping we get a season 2.
We need Nikki and Pug off on some capers.
Nikki and Pug returning. Yeah. I think this was one of the best Marvel Disney Plus shows that we've got.
I agree.
It's hard for me to rank specifically, especially with She-Hulk being so fresh in my mind, but this is right up there for me with WandaVision and Loki as being so well done. And fitting the tone of the character so well and telling a story that could only be a She-Hulk story.
But also,
this was not...
Sorry, just being able to bring someone in like me who never read She-Hulk, had no idea.
Yeah.
The only person in this property that I knew of was, Bruce Banner Hulk. No idea. And it still just reeled me right in from the beginning. And I feel like it did also give me enough explanation and background so that I knew what was happening. And I didn't have to know the comics to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. That's really good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we are over 20 years into the Marvel Cinematic Universe and that we can still have shows and movies that can be somebody's first, that can introduce them to a character and just tell their story without it having to lead into Young Avengers or be a sequel to something else, and having to have seen story X, Y, and Z before you can understand what's going on, or just the fact that they're able to make these so new watcher friendly is a great thing.
Yeah, and to repeat, where I started from, to be able to call out that those have been real criticisms of the genre and of the cinematic universe project. And, here's how we can change that. Sometimes we can have a story that is about personal stakes, and it doesn't have to be cosmic. It doesn't have to be global. We can just focus on Jen Walters and this little band of incels and her own personal journey. It's great.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to end with a big punch-out brawl.
Right. Exactly.
Jen is a lawyer, so it can be solved through legal channels rather than punching things out. Or if the legal system doesn't work, then it's like she says in that closing moment where the reporter's like, so do you mean as a lawyer or as a superhero? And both. She can do both. It's been the overarching theme or plot to the show was Jen becoming comfortable with who she is, both as Jen and as She-Hulk. And that moment says to us that she's gotten there.
Yeah. And I also agree, this is among my more favorite. I go back and forth on like my 1, 2, 3 of this, but it's She-Hulk, WandaVision, and Loki, Hawkeye. I've got a soft spot for Hawkeye.
I loved Hawkeye.
Yeah, they're all really great, and they all work very well because they're all very different shows and very different from the MCU in general.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's only one last thing to talk about, and that's our post-credit scene.
Finally.
Yes.
It's been irritating me so much that they do not have a post-credit scene in every episode. These are very short episodes. Everyone deserves a post-credit scene. That's my official, I'm going to tell Kevin when I get to talk to Kevin.
All right. Now, it's funny because another friend of mine and I were chatting about the show, and Wong frees Abomination here, and Abomination says, took you long enough, and says, you got sucked into another show, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And Joel interpreted that as them breaking the fourth wall. He thought that they meant Wong got sucked into another MCU show and was busy doing, like he was in Secret Invasion, or
I think it could go either way.
Could go.
I think it could go either way. I think they're having fun with it, and they play it vaguely enough that it could go either way. But I think Jen is the one that has the power to break the fourth wall.
Right.
No one else in the show has done that. And so I think that they're really talking about the character trait that we saw of Wong in this show is that he is absorbed by the premium television shows that are on the air either now or in the recent past, like Sopranos, like This Is Us. And so he was binge watching
with Madison.
With Madison, he was probably binge watching House of Dragons or whatever, and got absorbed with that, and so forgot to go get Abomination.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of weird for me that Wong is just not caring about human laws at all and is just breaking Emil out and taking him to Camartage. That feels a little out of character for the same guy who was basically lecturing Doctor Strange on what not to do regarding Spider-Man, regarding the multiverse. He'll tell people, you can't do this. This is wrong.
Well,
he has
on a sorcerer level. Like a jail doesn't concern him. He's not American, and he's not, beholden. He's concerned about the laws that govern the universe and time. It doesn't matter to him if someone's in a prison or out of a prison. With the way that he can manipulate things, it doesn't even make a difference to him.
Counterpoint, maybe he's a Skrull. Secret invasion.
Ooh.
So I don't know.
I tend to
doubt it too. I'm just being funny.
That is one of the shows I'm definitely going to have to do a deep dive on, because theorizing on who's going to be revealed as a Skrull and who's not, that's going to be fun to do.
I'm going to have to take notes during that show.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we close it. Wong takes Abomination to Camartage.
Why? To what end? What are they going to do?
They're going to watch The Wire, I guess. I don't know.
But that kind of wraps up the season.
Yeah. Final note, needs more Madison. I could have used Madison in that final episode.
She should have been on the couch behind
She
Wong.
should have been on the couch.
She is the only kind of guest star that didn't show up for this final episode. Yeah. I wonder if there was a scheduling conflict, if she was working on something else and couldn't show up for this final episode, or if they just weren't able to find a way to really write her in. Maybe
it's just like, it's kind of like hat on a hat. Like, do we really need to put Madison in here too? Like, and
I think she could have been in that post-credits scene easily enough. Even just have you met my friend Madison right at the very end.
Yeah, something like that.
And she could make up some nickname for him, like Mommy.
Yeah.
With that, we wrapped up our conversation on this final episode. At least for this season. Here's hoping for more. One little post-show correction. We mentioned the Star Trek The Next Generation episode titled Shades of Grey a couple of times, and I referred to it as a first season clip show episode, calling it the second to last episode of that season, when actually it was the very last episode of the second season. I also casually referred to TNC during that tangent, which is short for Star Trek The Next Conversation, a podcast I listen to that discusses the episodes of Star Trek, starting with Next Generation, then expanding to DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, and all the new Star Trek shows. From a perspective of two professional television writers, one a longtime fan, one watching the episodes for the first time. Listening to them greatly influenced the deep dive episodes of this show. So if you're a Star Trek fan or think you might want to become one, I would recommend taking a listen. One final thank you to my guests, Kristin Scalisi and Andy Wilson. Kristin doesn't have much of an online presence, but you can hear more of Andy on Kiss Your Franchise Goodbye, where he and his co-hosts give their thoughts on various long-standing franchises. I believe I'll be doing one more deep dive next episode. which comes out October 30th, so you may be able to guess which property I'll be covering. But we'll get back to listener questions soon, so if you have any suggestions for topics, please email them to me at welcome2geektown, all spelled out, @gmail.com. Or you can go to the website, welcome to, the number 2 in this case, geektown.com, and click the Submit a Question link if you'd prefer to send in your questions and comments anonymously. Other contact options include facebook.com/welcome-to-geektown or Twitter @geektownpodcast. Also, if you'd like to support the show directly, come join the Patreon at patreon.com/welcome-to-geektown for just $1 per month to get access to full scripts of the shows, audio outtakes, and a monthly shoutout. You can also help the show grow by subscribing and giving a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts to join the Geektown City Council, which helps other people find the show so we can all tell them,
Welcome to Geektown. Population us.
Welcome to Geektown is written, narrated, edited, and produced by me, Kurt Onstead. Theme music is by Aaron Lovitz, logo art by Archie Santana. All other sound clips are the copyrighted material of their respective owners, and no infringement is intended, falling under fair use.